okay, I was authentic to somebody else, but I wasn't authentic to myself. Who am I? And then even that question in yourself, you go through somewhat of an identity crisis, and you're like, wait, so this whole time, I was letting people dictate who I am. The elemental root of authenticity is the Greek autos, or self, closely related to author and authority. To be authentic is to be true to a sense of self arising from one's own unique and genuine essence, to be plugged into this inner GPS and navigate from it. A healthy sense of self does not preclude caring for others or being affected or influenced by them. It is not rigid, but expansive and inclusive. Authenticity only dictates is that we not externally impose expectations, but be true author and authority of our own lives. And with that being said, welcome to Meet Me Halfway.
All right.
I'm Momo, and this is my brother Glenn.
What's up? So,
and
where'd that
today,
come from?
like I said, this from a book called The Myth of Normal, by an author called Gabor Maté, which I read a lot of his work, and he has more of, I would say, somewhere around your realm, and I'm gonna say my realm now, a holistic approach and a combination of, let's say, Western medicine and Eastern medicine, and saying that a lot of Western medicine neglects the Eastern presence, which is viewing the mind and the body as one. And it all, obviously, there's a lot of collaboration that goes into that, spiritual, as we spoke off the podcast, physical, whether that's what you're eating or what you're actually doing actively. And what I wanted to talk about today was authenticity, because I think it's something that should be on, let's say, the hierarchy of needs for any person, whether it's a child, because, you know, if you have children, you want to be authentic to those children, because then that would, I guess you could say, preclude them having a better life in the upbringing, in the developmental chapters of their life.
Authenticity. Well, so of course, that's an opinion.
Yeah.
And that's all we can give based on our application of what you think that means. So if you're following his ideology of authenticity.
Well, he broke down the actual words of it, so it gets into semantics a little bit, but I would like to discuss how would that fit into whatever narrative you're trying to paint, or, like he says, authoring your life.
So how do you describe your authenticity? Because it's a personal definition.
Yes.
And it can't prescribe to everybody.
True.
You know?
Even though I would like it.
So it's just like with Webster's dictionaries. I mean, people put it together, but it doesn't prescribe to everybody's, situation, because we all come from so many different lifestyle developmental environment that gives us our definition on life through experiential wisdom, right?
Well, my interpretation of the word, and I guess you would say the practice of it, is being true to self.
Okay, and I would say that's humility. Because that's what humility is being true to self and being honest with yourself. Instead of being, prideful and egotistical, you're actually acknowledging that you are, who you know you are.
Yeah, because to be authentic, you have to be humble.
Right, you can't lie to yourself. But when it's pride and ego, we're lying to ourselves because we want to puff ourselves to be something that we're really not. But when you're in authenticity, if you're authentic, then you're going to be humble. So it may be a contributing part of what authenticity is being true. So if you're true authentic, true to self. Yeah, so you're honest. So humility is the true definition of being true to yourself.
Which is crazy, because we were just going over, Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And whether you believe in that or not, you could take away what was the highest on the hierarchy of needs, and that's self-realization.
Yeah.
So realization of self. You actually know who you are. Because I think so many people fake who they are so much that they start to believe in that is who they are.
And we got folks out there right now.
They don't know what authenticity is, and I guess as a default for that, they don't know what humility is. They collaborate together.
It's funny you say that because I was speaking with someone in the office today, and the epiphany she had was coming to that realization of authenticity about her humility about herself. And literally she said, because she realized she was programmed in a behavioral pattern that was causing her not to even see herself.
Yeah.
But then when she saw, because she was telling me so much stuff about the complaints she was having of the existential, somebody else. And I'm telling, she's writing it all down. I said, okay, write that down. Everything she was telling me about that person is really reflecting on who she truly is. And this person is in opposition. And when I told her, I said, you know, everything you told me was really about you. It wasn't really about the person. And when she had the epiphany, she said, that's a lot of bullshit. You mean it's me? I'm like, yeah. Who else could it be up here? You're the only person up here cultivating truth or decision-making or cultivating convictions. You're coming to conclusions about existential relationship. But it can't be them, it's you. Whether positive or negative, destructive or productive. So authenticity is really seeing yourself for who you truly are and being honest that you want to be that way or know that that is destructive towards your own self-love. And it's all about self-love, by the way, as a theme of why we should be authentic. If you love yourself, you want to be true to self.
What's funny about that is I'm thinking I don't like the term at all because I think it's
authenticity.
It's toxic. No, not this, not that. What is it? You are the common denominator. Because it gets to the point like I'm never gonna be like I'm great at relationships. It was always their fault.
Yeah.
I don't know about that. I was dancing with them, so when I moved forward, they were moving back, and vice versa.
Yep.
Yeah.
And so that was a powerful epiphany for her. So now she can actually go and free herself from herself because she was incarcerated with that perspective and looking outside for a solution when she's the only solution she can find. Because you're not going to get it in anybody else. You know, when you make your conclusions, whether it's positive or negative, good or bad, that who deals with the consequences? Doesn't mean you can't infect other people with that, you know, positive or negative.
I had to get that out of the head. You made me do this.
Yeah.
I made myself do it.
Yeah.
You were just on the other side of it.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, indicting yourself, as you say.
Yeah. So I don't know if he was looking at it from that slant as far as self-indictment, you know, or why was he saying it?
I could keep going.
Because it's in a context.
The seed of woe does not lie in our having these two needs, but in fact, too often orchestrates a face-off between them. And the two needs, the first one was, I will tell you right now.
That's the whole book. Chapter.
A traumatic tension between attachment and authenticity.
What's his definition of attachment?
Yeah, see, so that's where it goes. But then we'll be deviating from this a lot.
Well, this is the thing.
Then that's when it comes to us forming our own interpretation what attachment may be.
So if we're gonna stay in the context of what he's talking about,
let's say this. Let's say
just the words.
Disregard the book. We look at attachment.
Okay.
And then we look at authenticity as you just described it, or I guess explained it.
Yeah.
Attachment could be, and I believe it's what the book is saying, to those old previous ways of you looking at the world. Like you just said, she just came to realization that it was her.
Yeah.
She was attached to this ideology from God knows where.
From developmental habits.
Yeah, exactly.
Yep.
And then she had to be authentic to self, knowing that that's not her being authentic. That was her being attached to something that was inauthentic.
Yeah. Well, and it's not that it was, from my perspective, it's not that it was inauthentic because that's all she had. So she was, you know, naively authentic within the scope of what she's saying. She now is questioning because she's at a different level and she wants something different. So she doesn't want the habitual behavioral pattern, which was authentically dysfunctional because that's all she knew. And like I was telling her, what she's working off of is a program that was adapted rather than created. She didn't create it. She adapted to it like everybody else does from infancy to the level where they finally get to that place where they don't want to be who they have become. But the environment, the parental encouragement, the social environment trained them in that line of thinking. So yeah, it's authentically accepted. But then when we become an adult thinker, now our intellectual properties kick in, and now we're asking questions because I want to be something better, or I don't want to keep doing that anymore. So now she has to create a new worldview for herself that will, put that hard drive aside and create new software. So that program could be backed up.
Yeah.
And now, so she now sees it's a work she has to do now to create her future present personality rather than her past present one that she doesn't like anymore.
The way I look at it, and I always use boxing as my, I guess, analogy way of speaking, there comes a point where you get with a coach, let's say it's a new coach, and then your coach will try to give you that hardware, software that's coming from his way of doing things.
Yeah.
So it's, I'm not gonna say inauthentic, but it's just somebody else's authenticity trying to be on you. And then there comes a point, once you're seasoned enough to know, that's not me. And then you create your own fighting style in order for you to fight the way you fight.
Right.
Like, I forgot what jazz musician it was, but I can't remember. But I remember the saying, it took me years to learn how to play like myself.
Yeah. And it's the same thing for me within this profession. I had to go through the rudimental, developmental stage of certification, so I had to go through the tutelage to get that certification. But once that's done, now I have to practically put it into my experience and my ideology and my holistic approach to how I'm going to help you help yourself to free yourself from yourself. So they didn't teach me that, but they gave me the fundamental to understand human behavior as far as the psychology. Psychology is just learning how human behave. Biology is learning. So psychology, how does the psyche work habitually? They could only give me that foundation, but they can't give me when I meet you, how am I going to help you? Because you're teaching me about your program that is dysfunctionally functioning, and you want me to take that and use an antidotal way of giving you something different that can give you what you would then say is better than what you got.
And even if you put it to the lowest common denominator, you like look at it that way. Just the other day, I bought a gift. I went to a jewelry store, and I was lucky enough to have a close friend sell me the jewelry. Yeah. And then I'm describing who the person I'm getting the jewelry for. Right. And he's saying this is that, and he said something that was so wise and so profound, but so completely nothing in the scope of big things. Right. I was describing, I was like, well, what do you think? What's your opinion? He said, well, I don't know her, so I can't give you an opinion because I don't know what she's gonna like. Right. And I'm like, wow, that's wise as hell. Yeah. He doesn't even try to, fake it just because he's trying to make a sale. That shows, in my opinion, and that's authenticity. Exactly.
Yes. And that's exactly what I have to be with everybody who I talk to. I have to be authentic in the sense of letting them know they're their own worst problem and they're also their solution. So once I let them see that from within, then they now have to decide to be authentic, and honest with themselves.
You know what it is? In the home of McDonald's, which is the United States of America, I realized that everything is interpreted on all levels of, you could say, socioeconomics and education in a fast food type way. So they give you that psychology that you learn in school, and then they say, okay, well, here, do it like this. Everybody's the same. Yeah. Everybody goes like this, but you gotta understand when it comes to humans, you never know. You can't. You never know. I say this all the time. I even said it earlier. Dave Chappelle said in one of his comedy specials, he said a good pimp could look at a woman and say, she's good for 300 fucks. By the 301, she's no good. She's gonna break. And then the underlying thing that he said afterwards was something along the lines of, some women, and you could say men too, will break at different points. Mm-hmm. Some people can handle the burden of more than others. Yeah. And really, like I was saying to a friend earlier that I don't understand why. Yeah, I think it's eeny, meeny, miny, mo. I'm trying to develop a philosophy for what determines where that's coming from. Why can't you, hypothetically speaking, handle more than me? And why can't I handle? Or why do I believe that I can't handle it? Or let's say if we're using the realm of physicality, I can't do what Usain Bolt does as much as I try. I just can't.
But certain things does rule certain limitations. But when it comes to you defeating the idea that your level of achievement is based on somebody else's achievement, then you're already screwed. Because yes, certain fundamentals, like let's say Bolt as you use, he runs. Yeah, I can run. But there are certain things that we both don't have in common why he will be running faster than I am. So I got to take that into consideration, but I can still run. So I run my race. So I have to stay within my authentic reality of me. And another thing too, you just said it in a sense. Where I get to is my attitude about it. Because I can only go as far as my attitude would allow me to. Attitude determines my aptitude, and my aptitude will determine my altitude. If I have a negative attitude, I'll never reach the mountaintop. And my abilities have nothing to do with it. It's what I say, which is a positive or negative perspective about that mountaintop. If I say I'm going to climb it, I might not get there as fast as you do because you got longer legs and da-da-da-da-da, but I'm going to get to the mountaintop. My abilities will get me there because my attitude is positive.
I was actually talking about that earlier, and this kind of ties into authenticity in a way that I didn't even notice until right now. So maybe I'm having an epiphany. Yeah. But that was, I read a book, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck, out of all books. But it said something along the lines of, I think it's that book, but of not comparing to people less fortunate than you to make yourself feel better. Yeah. So let's say, at least I'm not as poor as these people in order to I guess not or minimize your own plight. And then they said because by default you're gonna start comparing to people above you. But the main issue as far as I can see in both of those ways of thinking is you shouldn't even be involved in comparison, period. Right. Is don't go up, don't go down, go to yourself.
Yeah, but you said should, but we didn't ask to be programmed that way.
Yeah.
But we have to recognize it is a cultural program. Every culture has norms that we grow into and believe, practice, and behave in, and then we may move to a whole different place where that culture is totally different, and now we're learning new ways of being that is in contradiction to where we came from. Like say PR, culturally they behave certain ways. You come up to the United States, certain things that they do down there can't do up here, or it's not acceptable up here. And now you have to adjust your whole belief system based on how you do things. No, you have to get a license to drive a car. I'm not saying all. That was a bad example to use, but I'm just saying.
That's a good example. I don't know what you're talking about.
I don't want to stigmatize nobody about nothing. But it's like that, because we're always adjusting.
I got an aunt in 40 years. She's been driving no license.
Listen, when I went
she drives just fine.
I went to Nairobi, Kenya, right? My wife saw my wife's mother for the first time. She was driving me around. Yeah. She didn't have no shoes on, and it was a stick. So she would have the pedal in between her toes. And I asked her, why would you not drive? Because, in our culture, you have to have shoes on to drive a car. She was barefooted. She said, this is the most comfortable because I can feel everything and it works better for me. And I'm like, okay, I guess that's what works for her. Yeah. So that's how authentic she was about, if I put shoes on like everybody else, it's not going to work for me.
Man, I'll give you an example. Back to boxing. Yeah. They said Muhammad Ali had a trainer. He said he was cool with him doing his dropping his hands, leaning back, all the stuff that a fundamental, I guess, boxer wouldn't do. It's against the norm. Yeah. He had a time where he got with a new coach, and his new coach was trying to program him into being basically the stereotypical orthodox fighter. Hands up. Yeah, exactly. Trying to do all the things correctly. He started sparring, he got his ass kicked. And then they were like, all right, just do your thing.
Right.
And then he was Muhammad Ali.
Yeah.
It was like when he was actually doing what he was supposed to do.
Yeah.
Or what he felt was authentic to himself, because some people, everybody's wired a little bit differently.
And I think that's why, I always ask people when I see them, who do you want to be? Because who they are, when they came to me, they didn't like, obviously, because they're here coming to therapy, wanting to investigate, why am I like this? So instead of looking at why you're like this, because I know it's already a program, they just didn't look at it that way. But who do you want to be? Now we can use your authentic insight as to your desire to create.
Okay, so I got a question, because I would probably struggle with this myself. I think I was, at least for the most part, blessed to kind of come to certain things innately without needing much force behind it, or at least if there was forces behind it, I can't really be like, it was this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
How would somebody come to that conclusion? Okay, boom, clean slate. Damn, okay. I was authentic to somebody else, but I wasn't authentic to myself. Who am I? And then even that question in yourself, you go through somewhat of an identity crisis, and you're like, wait, so this whole time, I was letting people dictate who I am. Like, that's why I said this years ago, maybe 10 years ago. I said I never wanted to be known as just a boxer, because I didn't want that to be the preface to the book of my life.
Right.
I didn't want that to dictate who I am, because I wanted to be known as much more. A lot of people don't come to that awareness. A lot of people be like, oh, well, this is Dr. Mo.
Yeah.
And then that's embedded, and they don't even want to do that. But they want to be authentic to other people's perception of what they are. So they're like, well, I guess I'm going to stay my whole life a doctor, even though they're miserable doing that, because they know that what they really want to do is be an artist. For example.
Yeah.
So how would you go with no software, brand new, start from scratch? Okay, how am I going to, put this plate of food from the buffet?
Yeah.
Am I going to put a little ziti on it? Am I going to put a little, salad? How am I going to sort that plate?
Well, you're the one who's going to create the future endeavor that you say you want. So, to me, the first thing I always ask is, what's your goal? Because without a goal, you're not having any strategy. Without a strategy, you have no discipline, because you're not having anything consistently to follow enthusiastically to reach any place of, destination. So you're gonna have to have a goal. You're telling me what you don't like. Okay, we got that. So where are you going? Where do you want to go from that? Got to cultivate something. You're gonna create the new you. So there's a nuance and there's a stagnant that you don't like. This is kind of like the lady today. She really had an epiphany where she really saw she was reacting to the environment she have to work in. And there's toxicity there because everybody's dysfunctionally functioning like herself. So empathetically, she should have never been reacting to it in the way she have when she herself is dysfunctionally functioning. So we don't function with empathy in an environment when we dislike other people's behavior. We will attack that. Like if we are so perfect within our dysfunctionality, you know what I'm saying? And their reaction to that is in opposition doing the same thing. So now there's friction because both of us don't like each other's foundation of belief system that we think is authentic, but it's distortedly authentic.
Well,
destructive.
Well, okay, check this out.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. With authenticity, you don't want to take somebody else's attachment, let's say, let's just use those words. But you do, in some, point, maybe not compare to somebody else, but take on good attributes from that other person. So, like, for example, I had a class, or I have a class that I'm doing now. It's called Personal Brand Management, something along those lines. I can't remember the exact name. And in the class, I had to basically put what personal brands of what people I liked. One of them was this guy, Gabor, because I really like his work. So I took like some psychological and authenticity aspects of him, of what I think he stands for. I had to take Bad Bunny out of all people. I took him just because I like I'm not sure if you know him, but he's a reggaeton artist from Puerto Rico. But what he does, whether you agree with what he's displaying, because it's very controversial, he is, in my opinion, is very true to himself.
Right.
So I like that. Then a couple other people that I can't really remember, and then there was one other one. I think I said like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, because I believe in that, his kindness and his thing. So at what point do I be like, okay, I want a little bit of this, I want a little bit of this, let me put it on my plate and let me form my own conclusion. Do you think that that's a healthy approach? Somewhat.
As soon as I'm listening to you, I'm seeing two different fields of approach for two different things. One is self, and one is my application to a subject that I'm interested in. And like you said, if he's authentically striving to build this belief system that you see some things about that you like, that is not representing him as a person in his cultivation of his character. So when you say,
what's the difference between character and this?
Well, that's something that we're building and working on that has a whole lot of definitions and applications. But who are you? Who's creating that? That's two different things. You know what I'm saying? So when you said it the way you said it, my head went in two different places. I can be like, even what I'm doing professionally, I do that, but that's not who I am. So in order for you to know who I am, we will have to get more into discussion contextually about me.
So if I ask you who you are, what would your response be?
Yeah, well, that would be a total,
because if you ask me that, I'll be like,
that'll take all day. Well, no, I know who I am in the sense of who I'm building. So I would give you all the attributes of my goals and my strategy and why I'm even headed in that direction. And I could show you why I'm doing what I'm doing as a profession, because I know everybody else is dysfunctionally functioning. So if I'm creating a new me and I know it's positive and it's a blessing to me and my family and people like that, then I'm going to be trying to help folks to see that as a possible road. Unless they can see something better and more positive than that, that's great. But if it's not as positive, then you can see why they would need to have a different perspective. So it's important for the person who's creating a new self to be able to be authentically helping somebody to see where they are and see if they want to be over here. Because it's going to be positive or negative, right?
But who's to say what's positive and negative?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You know what I mean? Because I know some people, they be like, let's say, I don't want to name any countries or do anything, but let's say two countries are at war. There's two opposing sides. Some people think they're right. The people on the other side think they're not right, or vice versa, negative, positive, positive, negative.
Well, which one destroys?
Well, equal fight. Somebody's still wrong.
Well, I mean, but production and destruction are two pillars in our society. You don't even have to try to define it. It just is. So you will know for your own life, when you're living it, what's positive and negative. Negative grounds destroys, stagnant, positive energy promotes. That's a universal, definition. Right? You plug on the wall, positive and negative. Positive. Why we look for the positive? Because we want energy. So that's already baked in societal norm without people.
It's the law.
It's the law of whatever, I'm sure they have terminologies for, but the law of nature.
Yeah.
If you're gonna have life, would you say negativity can bring life?
Oh.
You know what I'm saying? So we don't even have to define it for ourselves. The law of nature even define what's positive and negative.
Wow.
That's how I'm looking at it.
Okay.
So when you look at your own personal life, you intrinsically know what's wrong and what's right. There's a gut.
You don't think there's some type of wiring behind that?
Well, there's a spirituality in that, because that's something.
Let's say indoctrination of, let's say, kids. What would they like?
Oh, definitely. Yeah, because we're trained in our environmental development to believe and to model what we are taught. But that's why I always say there comes a time when each individual, if they're if they live long enough to get to that developmental stage of their own, cognitive ability to rationalize and be logical and reason with things, then they become now their own person to define what they're going to believe. That's from what they already experienced. So if everything I experienced as a child, I saw as a manifestation was very destructive to me, emotionally, physically, socially, everything. When I get to be a man with my cognitive ability and wisdom that I've gained from that dysfunctional environment, what do you think I'm going to want to do? The same thing? No, I want to do something now that I know won't bring the same consequences of pain, emotionally, pain, physically, pain, socially. I want to be productive. That benefits me. I want to be, intimately at peace. And I think peace is one of the things that we see everybody's trying to achieve, but we're trying to achieve it in a more destructive way that we have learned. But when we don't want that anymore, we find other ways to do it. So to me, there's a developmental stage of correcting our lives as we go. Or you can stay in the same discipline and just be destructive for the rest of your life, which many people choose that route because they never had the time to stop and say, you know what, man, I've been doing this for a long time. It's the same old thing. I got to do something different. We all come to that point with something in our lives. But then some still say, yeah, but it's too much work to try to change now. You know what? I'm just going to keep doing it.
It's hard.
Ambition, desire. You just say something that is a stop sign. It's not hard or easy, right? It's part of the journey of.
Well, I'm not speaking for myself.
That's what. But just by you even going there, before you even have any idea of what you're talking about doing, it's hard. What's hard?
Well, that's exactly what the end of that, the expectations.
Yeah, but see how programmed we are? We will say it's hard, and we have not even started the journey of applying ourselves to whatever we're saying it is, to know if it's hard or not. That's an end conclusional statement. After I've been through the course, then I can say, yeah, that hill, whew, that was a challenge. Right. It was hard, man, whatever. But we say it before we even start the journey on things.
Yeah, that's basically putting a hurdle or a roadblock in front of you before you even start.
And that's a habit from birth for many of us in our societal upbringing. Because we hear it from uncle, we hear it from sis, we hear it from mom. It's part of the language.
Yeah.
You don't want to do that. That's hard. Oh, you don't want to do it. So for you, it may have never been hard when you really start, and like boxing. Maybe at first that was put in your head like, man, that's hard. You loved it.
Just a normal Tuesday.
Right? But you did not listen to that. But many people were saying that. Some kids didn't go out there because like, I don't want to they're going to hit me too hard.
Yeah. And a lot of that, is perception, perspective.
Perception is reality. So think about how deep that goes. And I was telling the same person that, and she was telling me about her boss and all the stuff her boss is doing. And every time she tells me something, I told her to write it down, what the boss was doing. So at the end, I said, everything you wrote down, that's what you said about the boss. Yeah. But the boss was just behaving. Life is lifing. What you say about life is more important than what life does. Because you got to suffer the consequence based on what you create about that thing. Manifestingly, emotionally, physically, you're going to say something. So she hate her boss, but she don't even realize she hate herself worse because she's imploding on herself because of her boss. So who is worse, her boss or her? At the end of the day. So when she had that epiphany, she said, this is bullshit. It's me. I'm like, welcome to my world of clarity. I'm going to say so. She had an epiphany that she's like, man, I needed to come here a long time ago because I've been wearing myself out on my job, and I'm really, now that you said that, she just had a whole reflection of all the years she was beating up on herself, trying to fix her boss to be like what she wanted to be, which is never going to happen. Yeah. She didn't even realize she was destroying herself while she wanted the boss to be fixed.
There's a saying, and I don't mean to get religious in any way, but there's I think a quote in the Quran. I can't remember it clearly, but it said, "The stronger man is not the better wrestler. The better man is the person who controls himself when he's angry." Something along those lines.
Like that, yeah.
Like, yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
man. It's like, because if you do that, you're good. Like I've never seen a boxer fight angry and win.
Right. That's true. You know? So it's a beautiful thing to see people come out of their incarceration.
Oh no!
You know what I mean?
You know why it's great? It took me a long time because on videos, I don't think you're on YouTube that much, but you're seeing reaction videos, people watching other people watch something and then give their critique and commentary on it. At first, I was like, I didn't understand the idea of it, but then after a while, I'm like, wait, what they're doing is watching it the first time with somebody else. Mm-hmm. It's like, you know when you watch a movie and you watch it alone, you might not want to watch it again, but then you'd be like, yo, you seen that movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood? Yeah. Let's go watch it. And then you're reliving watching the movie again through somebody else's eyes.
Yeah, their perspective. And you might pick up something that you didn't even think about. Right. And you're like, oh man,
So that's what it is when you see somebody comes up and you're like, damn, I remember. I was like that. I used to get mad at people for doing something, and I didn't get mad at them. I got mad at myself because I'm not really getting mad at them. I'm seeing me inside of them. Mm-hmm. I'm seeing what I used to go through, and I'm seeing the path that they went through, and I'm seeing myself through them.
It's funny you say that because one of the things she even grasped in her epiphany is that she was setting standards for the people she was working with, the very standards she could not even adhere to. I'm saying, so she was, and we call that the spoiled child syndrome. You know, I want you to be that. I want, but she's not seeing what she's doing. So who is the real problem? You know, and the woman is not even around to even know that she's in her subconscious just being murdered by, this.
Like, why am I ear ringing? Why am I ear ringing all the time?
You know what I mean? I don't know who it is. When your eyes jump, or somebody must be talking about you. Yeah. But that's gonna be happening all day, every day. Because we are more conversationally active with ourselves than we are with people. This is 24/7, and if you don't get intuitively, introspectively knowing that you are collaborating with you 24/7, and it's not the people that you create and the way you're looking at them that is talking to you, but you're mad at them because you already formed an opinion, and they're there even when they're not there. Yeah. They're there, just the way you created them.
I remember. I can't remember the book, but it was saying something about you're fighting with ghosts.
Yeah.
That's what you are. Not only are you fighting with ghosts, you creating the ghosts.
Yeah, right.
You're like somebody would be like, no, they have no idea what's going on. And then people project and form their opinions on other people. Like I had a girl talk to me last week, and she was saying something be like, "Oh, I think I'm a nice person. People, like me. This, and that. Why do they, hate me? And why do they treat me bad?" And then she automatically put standards and came to these conclusions. Be like, "Oh, I think it's because they have low self-worth and this and that." And I'm like I don't
trying to convince herself about herself.
Yeah,
she's all right.
I was like, maybe she's right, but be open-minded. Don't automatically be like, this is what it is. Yeah. Maybe somebody had it.
Hey, if you notice in that scenario you just gave, she's fine.
Of course.
But yet she's the one who's dysfunctionally functioning. Of course. In that moment.
I said this around at the boxing gym yesterday. I said there was only I was with one of my boys and we was talking about boxing, and then I was like, what the other coach said, hey, don't get on the ropes, and I was like, yeah, there's only one person who's been successful on the ropes, and then he was like, yeah, Floyd Mayweather. I was like, no, me. I said a joking around, but that's pretty much it's a joke, but that's what a lot of people actually think. Like, no, it's me. I'm the exception. I'm the one.
But they had a fixed ideology of who you might be talking about, because they've heard it and they've seen it. So
it's me. I'm the one.
But it's funny how a good thing about just the idea or the concept of even when you talk about authenticity, when you're looking at your own self, are you excluding everyone else in your stratosphere of knowing? when you are looking at that word and just you? Or is it including people, places, and things when you're coming to that conclusion about your own personal authenticity with yourself? That's a question. So are you using it introspectively so you can actually be evaluating yourself and your belief system so you can actually see how authentically dysfunctionally functioning you are? Or you are on a path to discovering the authenticity of the new person you're trying to create?
I would say, for me personally, I would say a little bit of both, because
okay. Well, yeah,
authenticity,
you have to.
I put it on like the forefront of who I want to be. I always think about it, at least my interpretation of that word, and I also promote and want people to be their authentic self.
Yeah.
So one thing I always said, especially in, like you say, interpersonal relationships, is that I never want to get to the point, even though I'm not the greatest at this, but I said I don't want to get to the point where you feel like you can't be yourself around me.
Yeah.
Because then at that point it's like I'm filtering you, and if there's one thing I hate being filtered. I want to be
But that's automatic though.
myself.
Yeah, but when you talk about
You gotta
filtering,
filter yourself.
But
Yeah,
not just
in a context. But I'm saying if we just here, I can say whatever I want. I can do whatever I want because there's no necessity for me to filter myself. So that's what I mean. I mean, like with me, if you're in the room with me, be yourself. If I even smell a little bit of, you don't mean that. I'm gonna call you out on it.
But it's a little different when you're talking about interpersonal relationships, though, because there's compromise. There's collaboration, cooperation, and compromise, because you're taking two worlds coming together, and both have their definitive habits, right, of disciplines, programs. Yeah. But then both of y'all saying you want to go to Canada. Yeah. This person's way of going to Canada is flying. Yours is hitchhiking, because you don't even have a car. But y'all want to go to Canada together. So we're going to have to come and collaborate, cooperate, and compromise to find a new way that won't be the plane, because you ain't got your passport, you ain't got a car. And she don't have either of those things, but she got money to fly. Yeah. And you don't like flying. So how are we going to get there? So we have to come together.
But I don't think that would like compromise your authenticity.
Oh, of course it will.
Two different ways of doing things.
It has to, because you're not dealing with just you. So even if I want to do things my authentic way that I like, and it works for me, and I'm in a relationship that I want to go along on a new journey with someone else that does not have the same convictions, you won't have to compromise your authenticity as far as how you're going to merge and having to find a new way to get there, even though you like the way this works for you, but you're realizing, man, in order for us to go together, I have to make some adjustments to compromise and allow that person to have a certain input and find a new way for us to work. It's like relationships you're having. Don't you have to compromise on some of your convictions?
Nah.
That's why you're alone. That's why you're alone. Not that you are, but I'm saying, you know what I mean? But that's the thing. If you really want that, if that person means that much to your idea of a relationship that you want to build, you're going to have to compromise. You're going to have to humble yourself, humility. You know what I mean? Because it's just not my way or the highway. Then you might as well be alone, and you see how that's working out. Not just you, but everybody. So I had to come to that epiphany too. I don't want to be alone, man. I got to compromise with my queen.
I hate when people, and I think this is like, we'll cap it off with this, but I think that's the pinnacle of
you said meet you halfway?
No. I think this is the pinnacle of being inauthentic, and that's, the denial of you saying, "Oh, I just want to be alone. I like being alone."
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
Like, you're the most introverted person, wants somebody. I was like, get out of here. I want to be alone.
Yeah, but this podcast, the name of it speaks truth to what I'm saying, because you're meeting somebody halfway. There's no other way unless you're gonna just be by yourself. And then you still got to compromise on the journey because you're going to want some things and somebody have it and you need it and you're going to have to battle with them to get it. So we're never going to have our own ride in this life the way we want it, all the way to the end result. Because we are social beings. We have to cooperate, collaborate, and compromise, even if it's the smallest little bit. You know what I mean? You're going to have to. You know? If that car broke down and you needed a ride to get here, and some big 18-wheel come by and was offering you a ride, you won't like it? You won't take the ride because you don't like big trucks?
What you talking about? I'll hop right in.
Even if you hate being in the cab.
I thought you never asked. Yeah, man.
I had to be on the chicken track.
I look up to the sky.
Man, listen, I had to be on a chicken.
Like, he heard my prayers. Like,
I had to sit with some chickens one time in the back of the truck, man, the smell and everything, but I needed that ride. So I had to swallow my pride about thinking I'm all clean and that man getting my truck. You know?
Like, I like chickens after all.
Yeah, you know, so I think that's so that word, you see how it's so huge.
Yeah, but I think that's like the main point. The main point is to, I guess, broaden everything. Because no matter what we could do, if I say, you know, flamboyant, we can talk for an hour about that. Easy. Yeah. No way. Because every single words have meanings, which, I mean, nowadays, words are losing meanings and words are also changing.
Yeah, they're changing, man. Because a lot of the words, and I mean, I'm always looking at words, even all the way back to the first century, of what they meant. Because you remember, a lot of these words were formed by different languages, and they translated into English. So it
Touche.
You know?
No.
For real. I mean, you got stuff that we think we know now, like the word picnic. There's a history in this country where that came from.
I don't even want to know. But I can right? I know where it's going. I can't remember, but I know it's
going. But our new generation would say, hey, let's go have a picnic. They don't even have a clue of the foundation that was a derogative word, you know, about slavery, about hanging folks and picking one to hang.
I mean, we have,
you know what I mean? Let's go have a picnic.
Christopher Columbus Day.
Pick a nigga, that's picnic. You know what I'm saying?
So when you Christopher Columbus Day, we have Thanksgiving. I mean,
so, you know. I mean, the kids these days won't even hear that. You want to go to a picnic? Yeah! They don't have a clue of the historicity or antiquity of that word, how it was formed, and the cultural background of just to say. So even the words authentic, where did that come from?
Well, that's why I said, you know, specifically the breakdown, it come from the Greek.
Right. So they were looking at things totally different the way we do today.
Yeah, but the thing is, words don't really have the same meanings as they used to. I mean, they should.
They do, but they do because
you said earlier, ology.
Yeah, is the study of whatever. You know, it's just a study. So
exactly. You know, and it depends because you got to know the roots of
the
word.
So it's
like every time I hear itis, I'm not thinking just itis. I'm thinking inflammation. That's what my mind goes. That's what itis means.
Yeah. So, but that's to me, it's a powerful thing to always, whenever you're trying to look at any definition, to internalize it to yourself. What does it mean to your journey?
Yeah.
What are you trying to do with your life? How could that word in the definition that you have heard?
That's why I love the breakdown, because, you know, it ended with author. Author of self.
Yeah. That's a good way to break it down.
So
I like that.
That's what I try to do.
You could end this on that.
All right.
I like that.
Let's put a pin on that.
Yes, sir.
All right.
So we met halfway. See that?